Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, I'm taking a look at the new O-Ring G.I. Joe Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper from Hasbro Pulse. These are part of the new retro line that is recreating the old figures, some of them with slight updates, some of them pretty much exactly the way they originally were released on new card backs. They come in 2 packs that have some bonus items inside the packaging. The figures come in a shipper box, and inside that there is a smaller box here that has some card art on it. It's new artwork, and oddly enough, the Cobra Officer with the silver logo on his chest now has the sniper rifle, while the Cobra Trooper has the AK-47, kind of implying that the weapons are interchangeable, but old-time collectors know that the sniper rifle goes to the Cobra Trooper and the AK-47 goes to the Officer. The back of the package is mostly legal mumbo-jumbo, and you can see down here at the bottom there is a compartment for the extra accessories. Here we have the 2 figures side by side, and you can now see that the Cobra Officer with the silver logo has the AK-47, and the Cobra Trooper with the red logo has the sniper rifle. These card backs are pretty faithful recreations, using that original artwork, and it's got the logo. The dimensions are a little different. They obviously have the 4+ burst on the front. The Cobra enemy logo is different sized. I also think one of the most glaring differences, too, is that their weapons are inside the bubble with the figure instead of it being a bubble above their head. So it is easy to tell these apart from the original, but they do look great and totally harken back to the original figures. The backs of the package have file cards on them. They're oversized. Good luck storing those somewhere. And they have very little information on them. With the where we are with toy packaging these days and having multilingual packaging, this is one of the reasons that file cards kind of went away. There's about 2 sentences about each figure on the back of their package in multiple languages, and the cross-sell at the bottom just shows off some of the other O-Ring figures. These aren't meant to be at retail, or they haven't been at retail yet, so having just the artwork of the characters seems like an okay cross-sell, but the Duke is pretty different from that card art Duke with the new color scheme, so it is interesting having them use the original card art, but recoloring some of the characters. The Troopers and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are very accurate, though. Alright, I've cut the bubbles away from their cards, and this is the first time I'm actually opening any of these new O-Ring figures, so I kind of wanted to touch the plastic and move the joints and stuff for the first time on camera. Not something I usually do for a toy review. Usually I'll take it out of the package and play around with it for a few seconds before I roll the cameras, but since G.I. Joe is so important to me, and the O-Ring style is so important to me, I just decided I'd try this out on camera. Well, they definitely have very tight O-Rings. I'm hoping that doesn't result in popped O-Rings early on. I'm wondering if people have tried unscrewing these to make sure that their backs aren't glued. The joints move pretty easily. The other joints don't really feel stiff. They're not floppy for sure, but they don't feel overly stiff. The Cobra Trooper's legs the officer's legs are really bizarre. They feel skinny, and then the knees don't want to bend very far. That's kind of an interesting take. They almost look like they go on the opposite sides, like they're bending out. Maybe that's the issue, but I felt like most of the early Joe's feet were reversible. Not sure what's going on there. And then the people that archive all the weapons, they need to get on knowing which versions of the guns go where. These are kind of flat. They definitely don't look like the original vintage weapon in the sense that they're that dark gray plastic. These are very black. These remind me a lot of the 97 onward accessories there a little bit. Let's check out the Cobra. So he's got his bullets and his little wire thing for slicing somebody's neck. So they are different figures. The details, I don't know, I'd have to compare him to a vintage figure, but almost looks more like he has gloves than he did on the vintage figure, based on my memory. Alright, so he's got the knee pads there. The knee joints just feel a little stiff. The plastic is less glossy than the vintage figures, and that's okay. Like, I do want to be able to tell the difference between them. I don't need them to be perfect recreations. I'm just sort of noting some of the differences. The paint application on the eyes also look a little different. And there's that sniper rifle. I always have an easier time finding the AK-47s for my vintage Joes. There definitely was a time and place in collecting where I would have loved to have had a huge army of these guys. I would have just bought tons of them. I like the fact that they're based on the original mold. At this point in my life, I have a ton of the modern era blue shirts. They were a Toys R Us pack. They did suffer from the rubber band pop issue, and their torsos were glued together. I did pop quite a few of them apart back in the day, though, because I was changing, doing some customizing, because they all came with an officer and a Scarface figure, and so I was swapping out heads on some of those guys. I was able to get them apart with good success. Obviously, you're slightly damaging them, because the sort of the pins inside the back would get damaged, but they went back together okay. They have different head sculpts. They're very different from these. But I have a huge army of those. So at the price point for these, I can't imagine Army building a giant army of these retro ones. But it is neat to see them again. And they looked awesome on card. The lower portion of the box did contain these two bundles. I'm going to open these up. These are the bonus accessories. It's interesting that they're wrapped in tissue paper. I kind of would have imagined them being bagged. So we have a figure stand. We have a bazooka. Similar to Zap's, it is missing the eyepiece, which breaks off often and has a very small handle. This is kind of interesting. I wonder how well this would display with an 82 Zap to keep from busting his thumb. I still probably wouldn't try it. And it also comes with a mortar. This is based on short views. Some of these, or all of these accessories, are callbacks to a mail-away or a Seals exclusive version of these Cobra characters that were packaged with some additional weapons that are based on the early weapons. And here's the second pack. It doesn't really say whose weapons these are. I'm sure the fan community or pictures that have been posted previously determined whose weapons are whose. So we've got another figure stand here. We've got an extra one of Stalker's guns. We got an AK-47 that's sawed off with the tip and the stock. That's kind of interesting. That's a new sculpt, I believe. We have Grunt's M16. And we have Rock and Roll's machine gun with the bipod. My bipod is bent. But it's good to know they have either the old tools or new tools for all of these things, because maybe we'll see the rest of these characters that these things go to. It's kind of fun that they're packing in extra weapons. I don't think it's necessarily necessary. I probably wouldn't arm any of these guys with it, but, you know, G.I. Joe's always had accessory packs. It's always nice to have some extra options. And so that's kind of fun. Here's another view of all of the accessories that came with this set. I have to point out that one of the other big differences between these guys and the vintage ones is the rivets at their shoulders have a different sort of plug to them. They just don't look the same. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just showing sort of the difference. They just have a different kind of head to them. One side looks pretty traditional, but sort of the capped side on the other one looks a little different. Interesting they didn't put the cap on the outside here. It seems like that's the side of the elbow you'd see the most. So just like at the shoulder where you kind of get the clean side at the top, it would have been nice to have the clean side on the top of the elbow there. Let's check out the Cobra Soldier. Yep, same thing. He's got the caps there, but the cap side is sort of on the inside of the arm. Maybe that has to do with the way they get assembled or something like that. It's exciting to be able to get O-ring figures again because I'm nostalgic for them. I like this type of collection. And these guys I can pose around and play with a little bit. I'm not worried about snapping thumbs, breaking waists, and things like that. So for me, this is very exciting to get these O-ring guys again. I don't know how many we're going to get. I don't know how long this line will run. They're definitely doing safe bets. Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Duke, the Cobra Troopers, Cobra Commander, and a lot of them are getting reused a lot. So the Cobra Troopers and Cobra Commander are coming with the Sky Striker. So who knows where this line will go, but for this foreseeable future, I'll be picking up every one of these packs they do. I like the reissues like these guys because they give me a more playable version of my old vintage figures. I like some of the repaints, like the Duke and Cobra Commander being more cartoon accurate in their colors. So I think it's fun all the way around. I get it if these are a hard pass because you already own basically these figures, or if you just think they're too expensive. I would love to see these at retail, but right now, we have the Super 7 reaction figures there. I doubt that the G.I. Joe brand is going to compete that closely at retail, but you never know. This is sort of a special mini episode for Cobra Convergence, showing off these Cobra Troopers. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. This is similar to the type of Patreon content we do here on Pegwarmers. Every week the Patreon supporters get a toy review or footage from a convention or a toy store or just something else that's going on. Sometimes it's even a bonus clip from an episode of the full podcast show, Pegwarmers. So thanks for enjoying this, and keep supporting those Cobra Convergence creators. Thanks for hanging on the peg with me.